Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Taking Sides. I'm Saxon and Zack alongside Zach Borland. And it's been a busy couple weeks. We were kind of off last week, so we have a bit to catch up on. And the main thing is football is finally back, but not a lot of good news for the Steelers, Zach.
No. They fell in their second preseason game to the Eagles on Thursday night. It was a horrible offensive show, to say the least. Landry Jones had 4 interceptions, and
typical Landry.
Yeah, it's safe to say that the depth on offense is not there for the Steelers, which is going to be a problem if Big Ben gets hurt or anything like that.
If Ben gets hurt or misses any substantial amount of time, it's not going to do.
They got no shot.
Do any good.
No.
Well, the bigger news, because preseason football is utterly irrelevant.
It's garbage.
Yeah, it's garbage. So
Horrible.
The bigger news off the field is Le'Veon Bell had his 4-game suspension reduced to 3 games for missing drug tests. Le'Veon went ahead and put out a Twitter video yesterday, but he quickly deleted it. So he probably regretted that after he initially
never
put
understand
it on
why
it.
athletes do that. Just either put it up there and be a man about it, or don't even do it at all.
Well, in the video, Le'Veon pretty much admits to missing the test, but he said he didn't miss them on purpose. The first time he was recovering from his knee surgery and he couldn't get to the facility, and the NFL couldn't come to him. And the second time they tried to test him at like 5:30 in the morning, and he kind of just slept through it.
Basically, excuses.
Yeah, excuses. But he's vowed to be a better teammate and a better player after all this, so I'll believe that when I see it. I love Le'Veon. I think he's the best running back in the league when healthy and when on the field, but when he comes back, he'll be a big boost to the Steelers' offense. It's already filled with a lot of weapons.
Yeah, and they're definitely going to need him. They need him on the field because, like you said, the depth there is not strong. Toussaint obviously fumbled in the AFC Championship game, which helped my team.
I'm so bitter about
that. Yeah, it was funny to watch that game with you. But Bell needs to get his act together. He is a superstar in the making. The Steelers want to invest their money and their starting running back position in him, obviously, so he needs to get his act together.
And you don't want him to turn into the likes of Santonio Holmes, who, after having one of the most iconic moments in franchise history back in Super Bowl 43, is now
gone.
Yeah.
He's irrelevant.
Unemployment line, maybe?
Soup line.
All right, well, another Steelers off-the-field issue, unfortunately, has been the James Harrison saga. It's been widely known in the NFL and James Harrison don't exactly get along.
No.
But now with this whole Al Jazeera report that came out, however long ago that was, it accused Peyton Manning, who's already been cleared from that.
Clay Matthews.
There's a couple other guys.
Julius Peppers,
both. He's also with the Packers. Harrison was named in that report as well. They accused of using PEDs. But I think the person that had kind of said that is taking that statement back and said it was false, and it was so the NFL for some reason still wants to investigate it, so they've been asking the people accused in the video to come be interviewed by them. Harrison has finally, I guess, agreed to do that, but it remains to be seen when exactly that's going to happen.
After multiple threats of suspension.
Yeah. The NFL, it's an interesting thing to watch, him and Goodell playing poker, I guess, trying to one-up each other, but as long as he can play, he'll be on the field for September 12th against the Redskins. I'll be happy. Hopefully he just gets this and puts it behind him.
This whole thing is based on image. Obviously, the NFL wants to show that they're tough on PEDs, which I don't think they are to begin with. Obviously, they're not testing for everything that they can be. James Harrison wants to show that he's above the law, and he's not going to take any garbage from Roger Goodell, which I applaud because I think Roger Goodell is horrible. But he's still a commissioner. You have to comply with investigations. So it's just a punching back and forth fight, and it's really interesting to watch how this plays out.
And the NFL's still kind of trying to, I guess, save some face from the whole Deflategate debacle.
Oh, yeah.
So the way that was handled, it was just...
Like I said, it's all PR, it's all image.
Sure.
It's all image.
Well, we'll go ahead and switch gears now to the Pirates, who have kind of went on a little bit of a surge here after a rough start right after the All-Star break. They've just finished up a 5-1 road trip against the Dodgers and the Giants. But last night against the Marlins in a crucial series, this is kind of two teams really duking it out for the wild card spot. They fell in a heartbreaker with McCutchen ending the game with a double play with the bases loaded. And if you've been a McCutchen hater this year because of his bad season, last night was just further validation.
Yeah, and the worst thing you could do in that situation with the bases loaded and 1 out is hit it to a double play, and obviously that's what McCutchen did. Up to that point this month, he's been really good. He's hit .317 up to last night. He went 0 for 4, 0 for 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5 left on base.
5 left on base. Yep. Did have a walk, but still, he's the guy that everyone's waiting for to come on strong. And McCutchen's always been a second half player. We started to see the likes of that this month, but last night at home, in a big series like you said, Saxon, he has to come through in that situation.
Yeah, and the team itself, they didn't play a bad game last night. You were at the game, so you get to see kind of firsthand the great defense on both sides of the ball. So we'll see how see how things play out here. But it's going to be kind of a race to the end like it is every year for the wild card. I do think the Pirates are in pretty good spot to at least take one of those two spots. I don't know if they'll catch the Giants, but the Giants have really been scuffling since the All-Star break. I think they have the worst record in baseball since then, and the Pirates, like I said, had their way with them a few days ago with that sweep out at AT&T Park.
And also, Garrett Cole looked decent last night. Yeah, he gave up a lot of hits, but only 3 earned runs through 6 2/3. His fastball was in the mid-90s in the 7th inning, and that's obviously a strong sign. Got some strikeouts when he needed to, got a double play when he needed to. Like you said, a lot of defensive help. Cervelli was great behind the plate.
All the
Polanco, everybody in the outfield made a spectacular play, or maybe even 2. But you got to have your ace strong down
I would
the
even
stretch.
consider him an ace at this point. I think he's kind of that 1B kind of guy. Tyone is still very raw and still kind of adapting to the big leagues, but I think he's going to end up down the road. You're going to see him take over as the, quote, ace.
Yeah.
But Cole has that potential, I think. It just hasn't developed, and he's probably still dealing with some of the effects of his bicep injury that he had earlier in the year.
And Nova's been okay since they got him. He's not super impressive.
He's pitching
but
to contact.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to watch him sometimes because balls are getting stung off him, and the defense has just kind of bailed him out a lot.
But you know what, like we just said with Cole, I mean, the Pirates' defense is phenomenal, so if you're on that pitching staff, why not let them work for you?
Sure. All right, well, let's switch now to hockey, because I can never stop talking about hockey.
He loves his Penguins.
After fresh off the Stanley Cup, I'm just ready for the start of training camp here in September. Matt Cullen is coming back next year. I'm sure a lot of you saw that. He's signed a 1-year, $1 million contract, which is about a $200,000 raise from what he had last year. So he's 39 years old, had some 4 goals in the playoffs last year, really contributed. But his main role with this team is to center that 3rd or 4th line and kill penalties. So hopefully he kind of just continues that same kind of role this year. And they're bringing everybody back except for Ben Lovejoy, so it should be an encouraging year.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to repeat, this is a team that can do it. Matt Cullen's going to be vital for them. He's obviously one of the elder players on the roster, so
they call him Dad for
I mean, leadership role. I mean, you got to have one or two of those guys to fill that spot out. So Matt Cullen coming back is going to be a big help for them.
Sure. Well, the other 2 big, I guess, recent developments for the Penguins were 2 college players. Jimmy Vesey was the Hobie Baker Award winner, which if you're not familiar with college hockey, that's like the MVP of college hockey. I believe he was a Harvard student. He was drafted in 2012, I believe, by the Predators, Nashville Predators, and he did not sign with them. So now he had the opportunity to kind of have his pick of the litter of NHL teams that were interested in him, which is pretty much everybody. The Penguins, the Blackhawks, the Rangers, the Bruins. Boston area, I think, is where he's from, so everybody thought he was going to go to the Bruins. But he ended up signing with the Rangers, so a little bit disappointing for the Penguins there that he's going to be with a different division rival. But I think he just wanted the opportunity to play right away. He knew he'd have to compete for a spot on the Penguins roster because it's loaded at this point. But even though they lost VC, they did get Thomas DePauli, who's a center from Notre Dame. They signed him to a 2-year, 2-way deal yesterday. So that should be a nice little organizational depth piece for them to have down in the minors. He seems to be kind of a similar player to Brian Rust. He actually played with him at Notre Dame. They both are very fast skaters, and they both can shoot the puck well. So it's an encouraging sign that the Penguins were able to pick up some organizational depth here over the summer, and I'm ready for hockey to start.
Especially with the Pirates having iffy playoff chances. It's good to see the Penguins' news starting to roll around, and we'll get right back into the swing of things.
Let's get the preseason over with, though, folks. I think if we're both in agreement, we should just start the hashtag ban the preseason because it's worse than anything in sports.
Injuries and low performance levels. It's just not even worth watching. I'd rather watch Olympic diving than the NFL preseason.
I'd rather watch paint dry, to be honest.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate all the viewership and support, and have a good rest of your week.